Hey everybody, this is Carolina Millan and welcome to a new podcast episode. Today I'm here with Andrea Waltz. By the way, is it Waltz? I think it's Waltz
It
in
is,
German,
yes.
right?
Like the dance, like the dance.
Like the dance, exactly. Because I hear so many people mispronounce that last name. So, with Andrea Waltz, she's the co-author of the book Go for No, and she's also an international speaker. How are you today, Andrea?
I am doing so great and honored to be on your podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for accepting the invitation. And I'm really excited to talk about your book and every project that you're doing currently. So for the few people who might be listening, maybe they're not familiar with you yet, can you share with us a little bit about your background, your story, and what led you to write that book?
Yeah, so the book is called Go for No. And what we teach is we teach people to intentionally increase their failure rate, which I listened to your interview with James Altucher, and I know he's like, if you don't have to fail, you don't want to fail. And then he proceeded to outline in very good detail all of the benefits of hearing the word no and how to learn from failure. And so ultimately, yes, you don't want to fail out of just irresponsibility, right? But there are benefits to failing. And for most people, most entrepreneurs, they avoid hearing the word no. And so we teach people to go out and intentionally hear no more often. So that's why the book is called Go for No. It's very weird that I would be making a living doing such a thing, right? Because who would make a living, right? Sharing about hearing the word no. But so many salespeople, entrepreneurs, business owners, they have to reprogram the way they think about failure and rejection. So that is what I do. And my husband and I launched our business actually 20 years ago, which seems, it's shocking because I don't feel like I should be that old.
No, and you don't look like you've been in business for 20 years.
I appreciate that so much. Yes. And, but we launched our company originally teaching retail organizations our sales philosophies, and we taught them customer service and we taught them management skills and leadership. But every time that we would do, let's say, a half-day workshop or a seminar, the one thing they all loved and the one thing they all kind of wanted to talk about was the idea of no and rejection and how to overcome that and how to deal with it and be more successful in selling by embracing the word no. So eventually we kind of changed our business over to where that is all we talk about. So some people specialize in helping a certain type of person, whether it's someone who teaches real estate agents or someone who teaches, right, where we used to help retailers. Now we really focus on just the problem and we help everyone overcome that.
Amazing. Yeah, that's the approach that I have as well to what I do, where some people ask, okay, who's your niche? And I'm like, whoever needs what I have. You know?
Right.
So that's interesting. What's the response been from audiences about the book? Like what kind of comments do you get from people about it?
Well, there's really two groups of people that we find. We have some people, and this is a small percentage. So let's say we speak to an audience of 1,000. There's like one or two people who come up after and they say, I have no problem hearing the word no. I hear no all the time. It rolls off my back. I don't mind it. And then everyone else is like, oh my gosh, I never thought to look at it so positively, because what we do is really take a negative reality, which is you're going to hear no in your business sometimes, right? And not everyone says yes to you. We take a negative reality and we spin it positively and we say, what can we learn by hearing no? Like James was talking about in your great podcast, what can we learn? And is there a way that you can mentally see it as positive so that you don't give up and you keep going and you stay persistent? So for most people, they have an epiphany, which is don't avoid no, go for no. Be willing to ask, be willing to talk to more people, take more chances. And when you take more chances, when you go out and you talk to more people and you share your story with more people, that is where the opportunities are out there. Successful people do not sit at home or in their office and not hear no. They go out there and they fail and they hear no. We just don't hear about it, right? So it's about convincing people to open up and fail and hear more no's. And it's really, for most people, Carolina, they don't, it's just almost like I never thought of it that way. And I love that, because if I can get people thinking differently and feeling differently about rejection, that's when they really start getting results.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if you spend your life avoiding rejection, avoiding no, you're also avoiding yes, because
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But it's how to start that process, because that's, I think, where a lot of people are hung up. So the way that we kind of kick that whole thing off is we really teach people how to change their mental model of failure and success. So we teach them, we all have been taught and trained from a young age, growing up, small kids. We start off very tenacious. We have no problem failing. We fail in front of other people. We fail alone, we fail in groups, it doesn't matter. And then all of a sudden, somewhere along the line, that persistence and tenacity, we start being embarrassed of it and ashamed of it. And then when we're adults and we're starting to launch businesses, it's like all of a sudden we have to be perfect and no one can fail and no one can make a mistake. And you have to see those failures and those mistakes as stepping stones to seek out, not to avoid. And if people can embrace that as their foundation, then it makes hearing no easier, to kind of transition into that.
Yeah. What do you think is the first step anybody should take in order to change that mindset where they're so afraid of no to actually embracing it?
That's a great question. Well, having that mindset shift about failure and understanding that failure is not something to be avoided, but really it's part of the process, so that when you get that no, you don't automatically think, oh, I'm heading in the wrong direction. You say, oh, I got a no, I can value it and learn from it. What should I do next? But I think the very first step is to create a no awareness. Like, really sit back and be honest with yourself. And I had to do this too, because when my husband is the one who he created the Go for No. Well, we're not like the creators of
Whose
this.
idea was it?
It was his idea. And what happened was, it started for him actually when he was working in a job selling suits for a living. And he was a young guy, and this man came in the store and the man told him, he said, I want to buy an entire wardrobe of clothing. And my husband, Richard, started selling him all these things. And when the man left, his manager came over to him, and Richard was expecting that he would be congratulated on getting this big sale. And his manager said, Richard, I'm just curious, what did that customer say no to? And Richard said, what are you talking about? Did you not just watch that great sale I just had? The man bought a suit, and he bought shirts and ties and slacks and belts, underwear, this whole sale. Harold, that guy, bought all this stuff. And the manager, whose name happened to be Harold, he said, I know what he said yes to. I'm asking you, what did he say no to? And Richard said he didn't say no to anything. Everything I laid in front of him, he bought. And then Harold said, then how did you know he was done? And Richard had to stop and say, oh, I guess he was done because he hit my mental spending limit, which happened to be, I think the sale was about $1,100, which in those days, now this goes way back, was a lot of money. And it was
it's still a lot of money.
Yeah, it is a lot of money. But even back then it was like big. And so Richard was like, you hit $1,100, you were done. That was it. And there was he rang the guy up and sent him on his way. And Harold said to my husband, he said, you're not a bad salesperson, but your fear of the word no is going to kill you. So if you could just get over that, I think you could be one of the great ones. Don't avoid no, go for no. You need to be hearing no a lot more from your customers. If you're not hearing no, you are not selling to your full potential. You are not maximizing the interaction. So Richard ends up becoming an award-winning salesperson. He ends up going through different jobs and training people in this method. And then when we met, he taught it to me. And I thought I was a superstar salesperson. I really did. I thought I am great. People love me. I'm good with customer service. And then I had to get honest and say, wait a minute. The truth is, I don't like to hear no. The truth is, I do take it personally. And if I get one yes, then I'm done, because I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to take any chances. I don't want to accidentally step over the line and hear a no from someone. Or if I think they're going to say no, maybe I won't make the offer at all, because I again, don't want to look pushy, people pleaser attitude, right? So, so the step one, which you asked, is such a great question, is what do people have to do? And I think the first thing is you have to get honest with yourself, like I did, and have to admit, I'm not as great as I think. I don't like to hear no. Hard. Yeah, it is hard. And so you have to get honest, and you have to then say, so what can I do about it? And create a no awareness where you really say, how many no's did I hear this month? We all know how many yeses we got. I mean, usually we do. You ask any salesperson, they can usually tell you, I sold this, I sold that, whether it's the exact number of yeses or even a dollar amount. But you ask someone, how many no's did you hear? Most people have no idea, right?
No.
So because they're avoiding it, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that really is the first step.
No, that's a great story. I love the story, and I love how for so many entrepreneurs, the experiences that they have at their jobs is usually what fuels something else. Like, I think that's great. Like, imagine if you never had that job or that boss who pointed that out, everything would be different.
Yes, you are so right about that. I think you're absolutely right. And when you have those epiphanies, sometimes you don't know what to do with them. And he actually, when that happened, that he was in his like mid-20s, and we launched our business when he was 41 years old. And he often says, I wish I had done it sooner. And I always tell him, I said, but you weren't ready at that time, and you probably wouldn't have been successful because you didn't know, and you didn't have a chance to practice this.
Exactly.
Right. And to make sure that it works and get some results. And then when we finally met, we had a connection, and I told him, I said, people need to learn this. People need to know this. I love this. I am so passionate about it, because I hate to know that people hold themselves back just because they don't want to hear no. They give themselves the no instead of having the courage to hear it from other people. And so that's why when my husband said to me, of course he wasn't my husband at the time, he said, let's quit our jobs. And I was like, all right, because what's the worst that can happen? We quit. We tried to launch the business. We try to launch the company, get another job. Exactly. And that was my attitude.
No, I love it. And that is a great attitude to have anyway, because I talk to people a lot who are really afraid of the uncertain, of, the word no, of quitting their job and things not working out. It's like, well, what's the worst that can happen, and you know what? It's not that bad, actually.
It's not that bad. And I also love the idea of the 3 words that I kind of say to myself to remind myself is, why not me? I see people out there who are living their dreams, and they're traveling, and they're successful. And I think, why not me? I mean, the only thing that I think sometimes the great equalizer is other people can be more talented. They can have better ideas. But the execution is so key, and having that persistence. And you can beat people with just persistence alone, right? Just not giving up and staying in the game long enough. But I just love saying, why not me? And there's no reason.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah. There's no reason. There's no right answer. So, what do you think is the psychology behind the fear? Like, Why do you think we are so afraid of hearing no, especially from other people? Because we tell ourselves no 1,000 times a day, and also growing up, we hear the word no a lot more than the word yes, right? Which cripples us as children too. But
absolutely.
But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's how you interpret it, and if you get a no, the knee-jerk reaction a lot of times is, well, there's two things. One is, well, this no means never. So I just got told a no. And so this person will never work with me, or this company will never hire me, instead of, aha, now I have to figure out why in the nicest way possible. And I may be able to do that at this moment, or I may need to come back to them and circle back and do things creatively, just like a kid whose mom tells him no in the grocery store when he's begging for a cookie, and she tells him no, and he asks again, he asks again, and he asks again. And then eventually he starts thinking, okay, I'm going to have to start getting creative. Maybe I go negotiate with dad in the other aisle about the cookie, or I do something else, or I bargain with mom, like, okay, if you let me have a cookie now, then I won't have a cookie later for dessert after dinner. Right? They start negotiating. So yeah. we have to accept that no is not never. It's oftentimes not yet, not enough information. Other people are scared. They are terrified of change. And so when you're out there presenting maybe a solution to even a problem that they want solved, the fear of the change is like, well, wait a minute, I'm not ready, not yet. So we have to have that not yet attitude. And I think the second thing is interpretation. It's like, hear no, and you immediately think, oh, I just got confirmation that I'm horrible, that I'm going to fail, yeah. I'm a failure, and this won't work out. Like, who am I kidding, right? And instead of interpreting it as, oh, okay, I get it, they're not ready, they need more information, it's that interpretation. And so you move very quickly from just a neutral place to all of a sudden you're living under the freeway overpass, right? Just very quickly.
Yeah.
And that is your brain trying to protect you again, trying to keep you safe and dry and warm. But when you realize that if you're telling your story to enough people, in other words, you're putting yourself in a position to get more no's, and you're telling your story to enough people, you're not going to be living under the freeway overpass. The brain just all of a sudden kicks you over there like it's happening tomorrow. Like, hang on, let's not be overly dramatic. The brain is overly dramatic. It's like the craziest actor you can think of, right? It's always, the gestures are always going to be bigger. The outcomes are always going to be more and more horrible. And so we really have to fight against it. It's not easy, but it has to be done.
Mm-hmm. Somebody has to do it.
That's right.
And it's usually just ourselves. Like, it's a conversation going on in our minds. And that's one thing I love. Well, there are many things I love about Tony Robbins, but he has one video where he talks about that, where he says, I don't negotiate with my mind. Like, if I say I'm going to do this and my mind is like, ooh, don't do it, I'll do it anyway, right?
Yes.
So, do you ever, for me, sometimes doing what I do, sometimes I'm even more afraid of people saying yes than saying no. For example, there have been a couple of people I really admire that I've reached out to interview, where I'm like, they're probably going to ignore me and they probably won't say yes, or they'll probably just say no because they're so busy. And then they say yes, and I'm like, oh, now I have to go and do this interview with this person. For example, with James Altucher, I was really intimidated of going all the way to his podcasting studio and sitting there. Like, that was also scary, but well, good scary. But yeah, like, what do you think about like the other approach where people are scared because, oh, what if they say yes and I have to do it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a couple things to that. And first of all, I mean, you are like the classic go for no woman. I credit you. We give you a lot of credit because
Thank you.
you're out there not just you're hearing big no's, right? And what I call a big no is those scary no's where when you think there's no way, so I'll just ask because I'll get the no and I'll move on with my life. And then all of a sudden you get the yes, like you said, and you're just what? Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And yet fear of success is interesting, and you could argue it. I think you could kind of battle all day long over it. Richard, my husband, and I always say that fear of success ultimately is always fear of failure, because it starts off as fear of success, but it's can I live up to this person's expectations? Can I live up to mine? Will I succeed? And then, but what happens is you have those initial fears, and then it's what if I get everything I want and then I screw it up because I'm not good enough? People will figure it out. I will mess up. I will make mistake after mistake after mistake, and then I will again be living under the freeway overpass. So ultimately, it's that fear of loss, of losing what we have gained. Especially if we gained something unexpectedly where we didn't think we were going to succeed, and now we have this great success. So those big no's like you get are impressive, and I tell people all the time, go after the things that you might not get, because it's good practice just to get out there and push yourself. And if you get the yes, it is terrifying. But it's a fast way to push yourself out of your comfort zone, isn't it? I mean,
Absolutely.
it really is, it's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. And it's interesting you mentioned the fear of success. I have that sometimes, where it's about, oh, but what if this does too well? And then what if I have to, oh my God, what if I lose my freedom? What if I have to now work more or do a lot more or hire more people? How am I going to do this? How am I going to find the right people? So it's a very real thing too. And,
it is.
And we limit ourselves.
It is a real thing. And one of the classic books out there is a book by Susan Jeffers called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I don't know if you've heard that phrase.
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, it is a great phrase. Feel the fear. It's kind of hard to say, and do it anyway. And it was a book that I think it was probably out in the 1980s. And the genius of the book is she covers all these fears that we have, right? And we have all of these different fears, but she boils it down to one, and you just hit on it. And it's the fear that I can't handle it. Because when you take that fear of success and you say, what if my freedom is jeopardized, or I have all this business and all this success, but I can't meet people's expectations, or I hire people and they let me down and they let my customers down. And what will I do then? And who will I go to? And so there's that underlying fear that I can't handle it. And so that's what I think we find with fear of success that we have to manage is just taking the steps to make sure that we can handle it. So it's having those backup plans, and it's saying, and it requires being prepared, right? So it's like you with this show, you said, hey, I'm going to record here, but I'm also going to record here. It's feeling secure enough that you're covered as much as you can be, right? You can't control everything, but you can control what you can control. You can control enough to say, hey, if something ever happened to my web designer or my audio person or whatever, I know of this resource, or I have this in place, so that you know that, hey, if this ever happens, we can handle it. And that I think at least gives you that peace of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's so important for people to remember to, focus on what you can control, and what you cannot control, just let it be, let it go, because it's impossible to be 100% certain about everything and control everything,
right?
Especially other people's reactions, other people's attitude. So yeah, super important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You had mentioned as well when we were communicating that you were launching or you just launched a course or something. Can you share a little bit more what your course is about?
Yeah, I'm so excited about it. So again, it's not for a particular type of salesperson or type of business owner. Most of the people in the course have a couple things in common. One, they struggle with hearing no. They've had, they have had fear around rejection for probably a large portion of their business lives. They are aware that they have the problem, so that it holds them back in some respect. And so they want to deal with the fear piece, and then they also want better results in their business, right? So they want to increase their sales, they want to improve their business results. And I think that sometimes there's kind of the analogy that we like to use is when you picture a car and you're adding things to the gas tank, let's say like fuel. That could be all kinds of skills that we learn along the way. And if you're in this car and you're fueled up now, and you think that you should be racing off because your foot is on the gas pedal, right? And you should be going. But sometimes your foot simultaneously is on the brake, and you cannot drive off if your foot is on both gas and brake. So we kind of look at our course as helping you take your foot off the brake, so that all of the skills that you have and the things that you've learned over the years, all of your experiences can really be unleashed, because you don't have that fear of no holding you back. Your foot is no longer on the brake. So the course itself is just modules of myself and my husband training different go for no strategies. It's selling strategies, how to follow up with people, and a lot about failure, a lot about reprogramming the way you think and feel about failure so that you can employ the strategies. And then the last piece, which is kind of a fun piece, and it's actually funny that we're doing this today. Today launches a 21-day Go for No challenge. So everyone in the course, they're in a private Facebook community where I am coaching them to go out for 21 days and try to increase the number of no's they hear, to set some no goals so they can be more successful. So it's a really fun course. As you can see, I'm sorry, I could go on and on and on about it, because
that's great.
It's a fun, interesting course, and there's really no one out there doing anything quite like it.
No, that's interesting. I mean, I see tons of challenges. They're usually on, a video challenge or a social media challenge, like post every day, or, but I never heard about a no challenge, like go get a bunch of no's today.
It seems crazy, right? But now that that I've indoctrinated you in, now.
I get it. Yeah. Now I get it. I'm in the club.
Yes.
Where can people find, well, first of all, where can people get the book and find out more about you? And of course, where can they grab your course if they want to check it out? So
we're well branded, which I know you're a branding expert, so you appreciate this. Everything is Go for No. So at goforno.com is where we have our website and all of that. And people can get the book, or the book's on Amazon too. And if people are, the book's actually been out for a long time. So the book's kind of our classic piece of material, and the course is brand new. But if people are Amazon shoppers, they can get it there as well.
Excellent. So goforno.com, go get the book. Well, even if you wrote it some time ago, I think the concepts are timeless.
I think you're right. They really are, because it's just a problem that everyone faces. And sadly, I will probably be employed forever, because people will always, right? They always need help with this issue.
Absolutely. Yes. So, well, more people for us to help.
That's right.
Well, Andrea, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I really had fun talking to you.
I had a lot of fun too, and I hope the people listening, the people watching as well, got some value. Definitely go check out Andrea's book, check out their website. We're going to put all the links in the description as well. And I look forward to hear from you again, and hopefully, maybe we'll bump into each other somewhere.
You never know. Yes, I hope so.
Me too. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.